Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining Louise and myself today. Before we go any further, just want to make sure that everybody can hear me, so just give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you can see me, even better, give me a double thumbs up in the chat. So before we go any further, come on, and it's a bit of a delay today. We've got a new system, hopefully it's going to be working out today. So just let's have a look and see what's happening at the moment. So I'm not going to do anything quite yet. Give it a couple of minutes and we're going to see what's going to happen. Double thumbs up. Good, good, good. Thumbs up. Excellent. You can all hear me. That's absolutely brilliant. All right then. Let me just double check my cameras as well. Make sure they're all working. There. Say hello to Louise.
Okay, yeah, hi everybody. You've changed the software again.
I have, yes. Yeah. I have. It's not very good, Louise. Your jacket's showing on the side.
Oh, sorry, it's a rush.
Oh my gosh. What's that? Yeah, so the bit of hardware that I've had for a couple of weeks, I finally got going and got working. But it means Louise's system on her side is a little bit different to what she's used to. So have to bear with us for...
And there's a delay as well on my end here.
There's about, yes. So yeah. From when I say now, there's about a 10-second delay, isn't there, for when you actually see it and I see it. Yeah, I know. Is it on that one as well?
Yeah.
It's a 10-second
It's not
delay.
normally on this one.
Okay. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. Oh dear. Okay.
And there's a little bit of buffering I've noticed as well.
Yeah, there is. Okay, so we're going to carry on. We're going to see how things go, and hopefully things will be just right. Let's have a look, make sure everything's okay. Stephen, no 12-hour marathon last weekend. No, I couldn't keep on going 12 hours every single week. But Louise and myself are really sort of putting some ideas together. We're going to do something quite groundbreaking, aren't we? So it's going to be something that is going to be quite exciting. Everybody, thank you very much also for the £15 that's just come in. Do really appreciate. Who was that, Louise? Who donated the £15? Can we see?
We've got more than one donation here. There's $19.99.
Wonderful.
I'm supposed to be which one you're looking at.
Oh dear, thank you so much indeed for the donation. Really do appreciate it. A surprise, Louise, yes. Love the emoji dance video. Yeah, thank you, Julian. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to start. We've just noticed there may be a little bit of buffering, but again, it's something that we're going to be working through over the next couple of weeks and making sure that everything's going to be just right for you guys. So, should we start? So today we're going to be looking at... no, that's more like a film, isn't it, really, that I should be doing. Let me start again. Today we're going to be doing our questions and answers. It is the 10th of June. Louise, do we have our first question, please?
Yes. Author is asking how to keep copper clean when wearing it and keep your fingers clean, like a copper or silver twisted ring.
Okay, so copper really does react with the acids of the skin. It also reacts with the air as well. So there's no real definite way of keeping it completely clean. Through wear, natural wear, because you can sometimes get the copper bracelets, can't you, that go on the wrist, and they develop a nice patina over a period of time. And because they're constantly being worn and rubbed, it does sort of keep them nice and clean. There's no definite way to keep copper clean. You can lacquer it with clear lacquer, but the problem is then as the lacquer wears through, it'll go through to the copper and then that will start to tarnish and develop a nice patina. So there's no real way you're going to keep copper completely clean as you say you've just polished it, because it will never keep that perfect high shine without it actually sort of tarnishing it and developing a patina. So there's no real way of doing it, unfortunately. We're awfully sorry about that. Louise, next question, please.
Don't have a question, but can we all say happy birthday to Victoria, please?
Oh.
It's her birthday today and she's treated us out to a Dustin rolling that.
Wow, what a treat. That's the sort of treating that I like to make. So happy birthday, Victoria. Hope you like your Justin rolling mill. Hope it all lives up to your high expectations, because rolling mills are one of the best things that you can buy. So well done, and thank you for buying it from Durston as well. Really do appreciate it. Okay, Louise, do you have a question, please?
Yes, Len is asking about silver sheet. Rio Grande have changed their silver sheet to brushed finish. Can you polish a brushed finish to a mirror shine?
Yeah, I think you messaged me or left a message on one of the YouTube films to say about this. I'm quite surprised at that, to be honest, that they're supplying it in a satin and a matte finish, because surely a polish finish would be a lot more beneficial to a user and there's less cleanup involved. So first of all, yes, you can clean it up. You can just clean it up with a polishing motor. You can clean it up with a flex shaft like this. You can use a double-ended polishing motor like we've got over there. So you can use a calico mop, which is like a fairly hard mop. You can use that on again a bench-mounted polishing motor, or say a flex shaft. Use a pre-polish. You can use a Menzurner. You can use something like this. This is like a bit of Tripoli. This is a pre-polish, slightly gritty and oily and whatever, and then once you've used that and cleaned the piece with all the previous polish taken off, then you can use this, which is a bit of rouge on a nice soft woolen mop. It has to be a soft woolen mop for a nice soft high finish, or change your supplier. I think that may be the easiest thing, is to change. If you want a nice polished high finish sheet, go to the place that sells it. Don't put up with what you're given. Go and get it from somebody else. So yes, you can. Go back. There's lots of films that I've done on YouTube regarding polishing, and also check out the 12-hour marathon session that I still haven't got round to sort of editing, the little hour segments just yet. It's been a little bit hectic in the household at the moment. But yeah, you still can do that. Just polish it, pre-polish, final polish, should get a nice high shine on it. Yes, Louise, can we have our next question, please?
Okay, Julia is making a pendant that has a bail with a double-ended ball rivet. Having balled up one end of the wire and passed it through, how do I ball the other without affecting the rest of the piece?
Now this is really hard to do if you haven't got a really high-powered torch. If you're using these sort of torches here, which are the little handheld torches like that, or even perhaps something like a little civet torch, sometimes the flame is just too broad and it's not hot enough. If you had something like a Smith's little torch, or some torch like that, or a micro welder, micro flame that had the addition of oxygen, you can really ball up that end really, really quickly without any discoloration of the rest of the piece. If you haven't got those torches and you have to put up with your civet torch or one of these little torches here, the best way of doing it is to ball up the ball first, then go from the front, pass that ball through. So then what you need to do then is on the back, because the ball on the front is nice and round and perhaps nicely polished. Then you can perhaps cut off the end, leaving about a millimetre and a half. Make sure the hole where the ball goes through in the bail is nice and tight. So you've only got to ball it ever so slightly to stop it pulling back through. If the hole that the wire is going through is quite big, well then you have to make quite a large ball, and then you could end up with some problems. So make sure the hole in the bail is the same size as the wire. That's your first thing to do. And when let me just draw this out a minute. I still haven't put my board up actually. I got a lovely big board that's going to go between here, and I still haven't put it up yet. So let me just quickly draw this for you now. Hopefully you'll be able to understand. That was last week's drawing there. So here is the bail. Something like that, and your pendant then sort of goes sort of in between like this. You have a small little hole. Tell you what, let's do it from the side instead. There we go. There we go. So there's your bail, side view. You got the front is this side. This goes through, very small hole, comes out the other end like that there. So you'd have this sticking out by about a millimetre or so on the end. Then what I would do is get some cool heat and pile up the cool heat Let me turn that round upside down that way so you can see it better. That one there. And then pile up the cool heat around here, if this makes sense. Then get your flame coming in, and because the cool heat is here, the cool heat or the thermogel should protect the surface for long enough for that end of the wire to ball up. And it only has to ball up slightly if the hole that goes through the bail is small enough. And that would be the best way to do it. Or perhaps you could rivet the end instead of melting it down, and that would be another option. But don't forget, the hole has to be the same size as the wire. So you've only got to ball it or rivet it very, very slightly to stop it pulling back through. Next question, Louise.
Okay, Thomas is asking about lights. I was wondering what would be the best light for working at the bench. Is there an optimal colour?
Colour-wise, obviously daylight. What's that, 5,600 Kelvin. You can get lights. Let me have a look a second. Do I have a light? I think I did have a light around here, didn't I? It's in the other room. It's in the other room. Yeah, okay, so you can buy lights. I would suggest you get something like a low energy light. Some of these new LED lights are absolutely fantastic. In fact, let me just go and quickly go and grab a light a minute. I'm sure, I thought I had it hanging around here. Was it on the floor? Give me 2 seconds, I'll just go and get one. Oops, daisy. All right then, so this is a light, obviously, as you can see. 5,600 is natural daylight. I wouldn't really go for anything different to that. This is a Durston light, and there's a button on the top of here, and from that you can choose like a daylight, like a normal incandescent light, and also you can adjust the brightness on it as well. Now it is important to have, and there's like a clamp that fastens on the bench, and yeah, you know what I mean. So a nice, and this is LED lights as well. I wouldn't have anything like a fluorescent light anymore because they can use more electric. I wouldn't have anything else apart from LED lights nowadays because the energy consumption is really, really good. So that's what I would choose. Obviously, you're going to have a natural light around you. So I would make sure that you'd have, if you have fluorescent lights, again, make sure it's a cool white. So there is no color. It's completely neutral, like a 5,600 daylight. So that would be your ambient light, and then a little light that come over your desk, sort of in this sort of area by here, right in front of you, that would then produce the light, the more direct light upon the bench. So 5,600 Kelvin is what I would recommend for a nice natural light, and that gives you a true representation of daylight as well. But anything like that, so that's a Durston light, that's one that I've got one lying around, but anything like that, you can get them really large like this, you can get them quite small. Wouldn't have anything too small because it's going to be too localized. I'd have something sort of this sort of size, about 450 millimeters in length. What's that, 1.5 foot, something like that, above the bench. Clamp it over on the back of the bench. Don't have it clamped on by here because it's going to hit with the elbows. Have it coming across, and you can direct, you can bring it down, you can take it out of the way. If you're soldering, you can turn it off. Get the general gist of the idea. So yeah, there we go. Hope that helps you. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. James is asking, when making a claw setting, I find it hard to solder one claw on without melting off the other claws. Do you have any tips to prevent this?
You can get a pair of cross-lock tweezers like these here. Let me see how close I can get. I don't know what's actually happened to the ones that I actually modified. So what I would do on the inside of the jaws here, I would, are these the ones I actually did? No. So what I would do on one of the jaws, I would put a groove down the inside of the tip running along this way. And then on the other jaw, I would put another groove, but at 90 degrees. So running across the jaw, which means then you can come along with these bent nose or straight cross-lock tweezers, and you can actually hold, and again, I will do my drawings for you. you can hold with a claw, because you may have your basket, it's your upper and your lower, what they call galleries, and then the claw then would come down on the side here. So this is the one claw here. Behind here we have a claw. I just can't draw this. My brain's gone today. There we go. So anyway, like that. So what you would do then is have your tweezers that would come along, then would hold the claw here in the groove, and then you'd have the tweezers coming down on this side as well, obviously, that would just stick out from below there. And because you've got the top gallery, that would then locate in the horizontal groove, and that would be able to hold those together. Now you can come along and solder these here whilst keeping that in one piece. And then when you come to solder your claw on this side over here, you can then put the cross-dot tweezers onto this here, and you can solder this one, knowing that this one is not going to come undone because you've got the tweezers by here, and the heat won't necessarily come along, and then it won't come unsoldered. I did a film on At the Bench with these types of tweezers quite a while ago, so perhaps I should do it again and sort of refresh your memory on it. That would be the best way. Or what a lot of people do would be to get a soldering block, and with the soldering block they then would make a series of holes in the block and put the claws in the block, so the block would act as something to hold those claws in place. Then you can bring all those claws together and solder them all at the end in one go, and that will keep all the claws together. And again, likewise, if you're doing it with the top basket and the bottom basket, or the gallery, whatever you want to call them, you can still push the claws into the block and keeping them safe whilst you do some extra soldering all the way around. I think that would be the best thing. But I do need to redo another film, I think, on showing those tweezers, because they are a really, really good idea. And I think John Cogsworth's book shows how to do them as well. There we go. It's a long answer, wasn't it, for quite a short question? Okay, Louise, next question, please. Okay,
this is from Terry. This is my first time making jump rings into a chain for practice with 1mm wire. Any advice for holding them while sawing so that they are straight and easier to line up for soldering?
Yep, very good question. So there's something that you can buy called a jump ring cutter, jump ring maker, and that has a little device that you can put on your bench or in a vise, and it's almost like a drill chuck, that's it, with a handle on the end. So you put your mandrels in it, and as you wind the handle, it'll wind the wire around the mandrel, and you get a lovely coil. Then there's a coil holder that you put that coil in. You then would trap it inside the coil holder, and you'd have to then get a number 30 handpiece in your flex shaft to go down and to cut all the jump rings in one go. It's a brilliant kit. Pepe make them, Durston make them as well. Excellent. But if you don't want to go to the expense of buying that and perhaps getting a different handpiece, or perhaps you don't have a flex shaft, the best way to do it would be to make your coil, and that's the easiest part. Then, I'm just looking around for that bit of masking tape I had earlier, then you get some masking tape. You'd wrap the masking tape around the coil. So this is your coil. You'd wrap the masking tape around, perhaps once or twice, so it holds all together. Then you can hold on to the coil. Then you can then come along with your, let's just bring this down here so we can all see. There we go, there we go. Then you've got this, which is your coil, masking tape around the outside, and then you simply come along then with your saw and come along, and now, some people will actually cut from the outside through to the middle, but the best way is to take your blade and undo the blade like this. So you've undone the blade. Oh, let me go down here. So then you then pass the blade through the coil out to the other side. Then once you've done that, you then would put your blade back into your frame. So what you've got now is your frame with the coil trapped. So the coil is where my hand would be. My hand is the coil, all right? Then you then put the coil on your peg, and this is the coil, and then you would cut through from the inside to the outside. And as all the jump rings are held together with the masking tape, they're going to be nice and steady. They're going to stay exactly straight and put. And also because you're cutting from the inside outwards, every time you go through, you're going to be cutting through the jump rings. They're going to be held together under the masking tape. Take off the jump rings that you've done, or just cut all the way through. But cutting from the inside out is the best way of doing it, rather than cutting from the outside into the coil. And that then will ensure you get a nice straight cut down all the coil, nice and easy. They're held together. They don't all become trapped on the blade here as if you were cutting from the outside in. So there we go, masking tape on the outside of the coil, thread the blade through the coil so you cut from the inside out, and you'll have perfect jump rings. How are we doing, Louise? Next question.
Okay, Ashley is asking, what methods would you recommend to get a nice matte finish on a thick D wiring?
Sorry, say that again, sorry.
What methods would you recommend to get a nice matte finish on a thick D wiring?
Right, okay, so what I would do first of all, I would always polish up the ring first of all. So I wouldn't just buff it with a buff stick or sanding stick and then try and put a satin finish on it. I'd always want to finish the ring, perhaps not to a high shine, but I want to get all the scratches out first of all. So I would polish it with perhaps the calico mops, the pre-polish. I would use the Tripoli or the Menzuna pre-polish and get the ring pretty much highly finished, but with the pre-polish. Then there are certain different ways you can do this. In fact, I was reading an article I printed it out this morning, all about producing satin finishes and the different types of materials and tools that are out there for producing a satin finish. You can use something like a glass fiber brush. Again, I don't actually have one here, but it's glass fiber strands in almost like a propelling pencil that then you put in a little bit of water, because the glass fiber can stick in you, and you just go over the polished surface with that, perhaps in a linear pattern or in a random scooty round, random pattern to make it all random. There's that way, but tends to be very light. You can then get, if you wanted to, a piece of emery paper, some really coarse emery paper, and go over the high finish all over, just rubbing round and round to get a nice random finished all the way around it. There's that idea. You can use these types of, what I call these are bad boys, aren't they? I do love these. These are texture wheels. You can get them in various thickness wires, and these will fit into a flex shaft. You can even get larger ones as well that will go into your bench mounted polisher motor. These will rotate. Don't do it more than around about 6,000 revs, and as these come round, what you'll find is that they'll come round and they'll hit the surface, as you can see, like that. The effect is there. As it comes round, the little wires will tap and hit the surface and produce a bit of a frosting finish as well. And these are really good for that. Also, you can get, there's loads of different ways. You can get, do I have anything here? Steel wheels. You can get these steel brushes that would produce, again, a bit of a pattern. So anything that really scrapes over the surface will produce a pattern, but you really do need to experiment just to see what type of pattern that these tools will produce, to see what your type of satin and brushed finish is going to be. But don't forget, the finish will never stay on that surface all the time, and because it's being worn, it's going to get burnished, it's going to wear, and that finish is going to be worn off, and it's going to come smooth again and sort of polished. So what you may have to do is ask your client to come in every year or so to have the finish put back on the piece, just to keep it looking absolutely brilliant. So those are the different ways that we're going to be able to put a nice satin finish. But stay tuned to YouTube, because I'm going to be producing a film now over the next couple of weeks on ways of producing satin finishes, variety of different ways, using a variety of different tools, and you'll be able to see then exactly how the pattern goes on the piece. But always remember, polish it first, then apply the pattern. How are we doing, Louise? Any more questions, please?
Yeah, Gillian is asking, when are you going to do your video about setting a drusy quartz?
Yes, I haven't got a drusy quartz yet. every week, I think, since we started this, isn't it? Gillian is doing
I don't know if it's Gillian or lots of different people, or whether it's Gillian asking. She just really wants you to do it.
I think it's Gillian's spot.
Yeah.
Gillian's spot,
You have to do it.
I do, I know, I see it all.
She's asked 100 times, you have to.
I haven't got a drusy. Okay, so if any stone merchant is watching, please send me a drusy. Please send me an oval drusy. Doesn't matter what sort of size. I know Kerno Crafts send them. In fact, I was messaging them earlier on today. I must get them to send me some. But if you know, it was Gillian Sprott. Yeah, no, it's me. Yeah. Oh, I feel embarrassed now. Yeah, I will be producing it. I haven't got a drusy. As soon as I get a drusy, I will be producing.
Shall I order one?
We're going to order it from.
I don't know. I'll ask these guys.
Oh dear. Yeah. All right. So I do have to order. Yes. So Louise is going to ask you. She's going to buy the drusy quartz to get me to do this film for Gillian. So Gillian, as soon as I can, I have one I can send this over. Jodie, yes, please send it to me. Louise will put the shop address in the chat now. So yeah, please send it. And then I'll credit you, obviously. Put a little note in there as well, and I'll send you something for your what's it called? For your time and your effort and to replace the drusy. But thank you very much. Okay, so what? Drusy. Okay, Mike. Okay, I get the idea. You don't know where the shop is.
I know where the shop is. I just can't remember the postcode very well.
If only we could have a screen capture. Louise is looking up where the shop is at the moment.
I know where the shop is. I just can't spell. Right, the guys will understand. I can't always spell.
There we go. Okay, so down there is where you need to send the drusy quartz, and I will reimburse you.
See if they can. Well, I will never know if they can. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the address. Copy and paste it. That's the shop address. Whatever you want to send to me, I'd happily receive it. Okay, then, Louise. What is the next question, please?
Okay, Paul and McClay preaching. What type of film camera are you using?
We're using 4 cameras. That's 8. 4 cameras. The one above me here. This one is just a simple Canon camcorder that has a mini HDMI out of that one. That one, this on Louise, and that one, this one here, with my finger, there we go, that one there, are all Canon XA10s. They're about 4 or 5 years old now. They're about £1,000 when we bought them. You can buy them secondhand, but they're very, very good. We've all got Sennheiser lavalier wireless microphones, and then also everything goes into, and I'll just say this now, everything goes into, this is the old one. I shall show you on my overhead camera. This is the old one. This is an A10 Mini. All right, so this goes by the side of me, although the one I got now is the Pro version, but as you can see, we've got these buttons here. You can push these buttons and then the cameras will come on, as you can see. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So you can swap, but there's loads of different things. Louise can drag graphics, as perhaps if you saw the live stream that we did, the 12-hour live stream, we had loads of graphics. Louise can drag graphics into it. When we're filming for At The Bench, again, we just have 2 cameras. Sometimes we have a third, so it would be that camera there. They do all 1080p. And you see this camera, I think it is as well, the close-up one by the side of me here. Yeah, so we use those and we record them onto SD cards and we import that into Final Cut Pro. Perhaps I could do a video on the whole setup, perhaps. And also this little Pro system that I got by the side of me here is now recording what you're seeing. So I can edit it instead of downloading it off YouTube to edit it, to put it on At The Bench. It'll be a better recording. It's a lot better. You can do loads of different things because you can do things like this. So if I cut between, you can move them that way. You can go all these different fades. There's loads of different things. You can dip to white or dip to black. There's loads of different things that you can do to this which is really cool, isn't it? I really like this. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get back onto the jewellery. But yeah, Canon XA10 cameras we use. Yes, Louise, next question.
I've just realised I've missed some questions out, sorry. Gary is asking, has anyone had any experience using ceramic tipped tweezers?
No.
Okay, short and sweet.
Yeah. Ceramic tipped? Why would you want to use ceramic tipped tweezers? Can someone enlighten me? If you know the reason why we need to use ceramic tipped tweezers, I don't know why actually.
To do with heat, maybe?
Ceramic and the heat? Don't know. But yeah, please pop it down in the chat. I'd love to find out about ceramic tipped tweezers. I didn't know there was such a thing, but I'd gladly go and find out. But unfortunately, no, I can't give you any advice. Perhaps there's somebody in the chat that knows about ceramic tipped tweezers. Perhaps they can enlighten me as well. Yeah, okay.
Romy, I'm so sorry, I've missed your question before, haven't I? If I need to anneal argentium at 1050 degrees, is a large hand torch big enough for the job, or is a sievert needed?
I think depending on the size of the piece, you really you can't sort of start in one corner and work across and eventually have the whole piece heated up bit by bit. I think you'd have to have a pretty good even coverage so you can be sure the whole piece is evenly annealed. Depending on the size, if you're looking at something like this sort of size, what's that, 3 inch by 3 inch, 75 mil square, something like this torch here, this like Pro Flame one, should be just about sufficient. Anything bigger than that, then grab yourself a sievert torch with a large burner, which would then encompass a larger area as well, and you're less likely to melt the piece because it'll be a broader, pull the flame back, get a nice broad flame coming over the argentium. So yeah, it depends on the size. The bigger the torch, the smaller the torch is there. There we go, hope that helps. I did see a nice quick, oh, you've gone past now, sorry. I was going with that. When did you guys first decide to do live streams, and were you nervous at all? Do you still get nervous or jittery? Can I ask, oh, I said it, didn't I? Sorry, Louise, I'm taking your job off you now, sorry. I like that. When did we decide to do live streams? I think it was, I've done live streams before. It was many years ago. And one of my daughters, Grace, used to help me with the camera. She used to maneuver the camera around. Jason was sat by the side of me, but Jason didn't want to be on camera. Jason wouldn't say a word. He used to just like point at the screen if there's a question that I should look at. It worked well on a Saturday afternoon for about 3 or 4 months, and then Grace had to go to university, so then we stopped. When we went into lockdown here in the UK, I wanted to do like a question and answer, and I wanted to do a live question and answer like this, and then I wanted to have multi-camera setups. So we've been learning as we've been going on, really. And I think, how about you, Louise? What was the first time like that you went on, so like on air, so to speak?
I was nervous, yeah. I didn't want the camera on me, but after the 12 hours, I'm like, oh, an hour, do it in my sleep.
It's nothing an hour. So yeah, I think the first time that you do it, because I don't see anybody. All I see is myself underneath the lens there, so I don't see you. If there was, how many are at the moment? If there was 126 of you all standing in front of me going, oh, what's he going to say next? Oh, please, can I ask? It would be really scary because I don't.
You love it.
I love it.
Lie. Yeah.
I've never sort of played to that audience before. I just play to a camera, and I find that is quite easy for me. But as you said, the 12 hours is 12 hours, and you can't really be nervous.
If you be nervous for 12 hours, you're probably going to be pretty upset by the end of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's. I think initially you were a bit nervous because something was going wrong. We couldn't use the little Stream Deck to get the links up, so you really. So we panicked initially, didn't we? Because I think we normally panic because of technology, not necessarily because of what we're doing. Sometimes the technology doesn't work. At the moment the stream says here it's excellent. It went down to poor. I'm not quite sure why. So I worry about technology rather than what I'm doing on camera. And likewise with Louise, she's got a new little setup over there now. We're trying something different. So she came in, oh my gosh, this is all different. What have we got to do? So it is a bit nerve-wracking when it comes to that. But
what makes it really easy though for me is everybody is just so kind, and the comments that people make are lovely, and everybody's respectful, and the chat's always lovely. So
It is, isn't
Yeah,
it? Everything's all
as time's gone
right.
on and it's grown, and we notice the same people coming on, and it feels a bit more, you recognise names and you get to know people a little bit, and you don't feel nervous then, because we do feel like we know you all a little bit.
It's a bit more like a community then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a community sort
And
of
everyone's
spirit.
lovely, yeah.
Exactly. And Jan, you got me as well to give you confidence.
Well, I knew, yeah.
All right then, so that's how we got into doing sort of the live stream. I wanted to do the question and answer, and I think people can be quite nervous as well, knowing they're on camera, but I think it's quite straightforward, and I do enjoy it because I just look at myself. I just talk to myself.
Your favourite thing to
It's
look at.
my favourite thing, absolutely. So I just look at myself and I just talk to myself as if I'm saying, Andrew, you're lovely. Oh, and mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most handsomest of them all? Anyway, right, let's get back to it. Next question, please.
Right, back to it. Donald is asking, can you please advise on pick soldering without heating the piece?
Sort of like soldering the chains. Pick soldering. I've got a pick. Where's my pick? Oh heck, I've lost my pick. I thought I had a pick here. So we can use a pick to solder. You don't necessarily actually have to heat the piece up. I'm just frantically looking through all my drawers. Do you know what? I don't want a Durston double bench because I'd be looking through the drawers all flipping day long trying to find something. No. Okay, so I've done a film on At the Bench already showing the indirect method of soldering. Check back quite a few, must be about nearly a year for when I did that particular video. And what I did, I had a jump ring. I think I was soldering a jump ring on the end of a chain, and I'm not quite sure why I can't find my pick. It was on my bench. No, I can't find it. Anyway, so yes, I can't really describe it now at this precise moment in time, but what I will do, I will actually make a note because we're going to be doing some more live streams, pick soldering. We're going to be doing some more live streams, but perhaps like 3-hour live streams on a particular topic like soldering or polishing or piercing and that sort of thing. This is what came out of our 12-hour marathon session that we did a couple of weeks ago. People want to see more. An hour wasn't long enough to describe all the different types of techniques when it comes to soldering. So we're going to be doing these 3-hour sessions. Perhaps we'll be doing it of a late afternoon or an evening to try and get everybody's viewing from around the whole world, as opposed to just doing it during the day when people who are perhaps in Australia and it's the middle of the night, in the early hours of the morning. So yes, we're going to be doing that. I can't really describe, but check back a few films ago on YouTube, the indirect method of soldering using a pick, and it will be on there. Andrew, do you answer yourself when you talk to yourself? Yes, sometimes I do.
You have conversations with yourself.
I do, don't I? All right then. Next.
Some of them are quite insightful as well, I can tell you.
Right, next question, please.
Okay. Helly is asking, can you recommend projects for relative newbies? College is closed, so I'm trying to learn at home but struggling for ideas.
We are going to be producing some online classes very, very shortly, starting right from the very basics to do with the toolkits, and we're going to go through all the different types of piercing, different types of soldering, the polishing and making things as well. The classes are due to go live in about 2 months' time. We're still producing them at the moment. The content is still flowing, we're still filming, we're still editing and everything else. So look out on social media for all that. The best thing to do is to get yourself some copper, get yourself like your piercing saws, get yourself some little torch like this and just practice. If you want to try and make up a ring, just get a piece of wire or some copper wire, make it into a ring and practice. It's all about practice. It's just making sure the joints are nice and flush, making sure there's flux, making sure there's the right amount of solder on it. So there's lots of things that you can practice. So I can't really say there's an actual, I'm just trying to find something, because again, I was looking at it the other day, it must be in my cabinet.
What about the magazines, like the step-by-steps? You've done them, haven't you?
There aren't that many anymore now.
No?
Not at all.
It's a shame.
There's making jewellery's gone. There's no real magazines anymore to look at. This is the problem now. It's everything's moving online now, so it's really hard for people to find.
It's literally just step by step, and obviously watching is good, but it's...
Let me just grab a second, because I did, let me just grab, try and get to them.
Would they have archives of them online?
Well, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, because some of the ones you've written for magazines are online, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the magazines that used to be really good, actually, it was this one. This was called, wrong camera, there we go. This was called Making Jewellery. And this was the UK's best jewellery magazine, apparently, so they say. And it was really, really good. It went into all different types of jewellery to do with things like wire wrapping, silversmithing. It had all about stones and polymer clay, had classes, metal clay classes. I've actually picked up one that I'm not in. But it was very, very good. And these were brilliant because these did little step-by-steps. And I did about a year or 2 years producing step-by-steps for these guys, and in addition to other magazines as well. You may be able to find these online, Making Jewellery magazines. So check out and try and find them. They were published by the Guild of Master Craftsmen here in the UK. Beads and Beyond was one, but I think they don't.
No, what was the one?
It was this one that I was in.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, and I was in the last.
Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas before.
Was it?
And unfortunately, then they decided then to cancel it because there wasn't enough demand for it. But stay tuned for our classes. As I said, it's going to start off. But anything that you can, perhaps, okay, for argument's sake, you say you want to do piercing, you want to do sawing, cutting out, your best thing to do is perhaps get some clip art, get some line drawings off Google Images, something like that online, black and white, print them onto paper, stick them onto a bit of metal, and just practice cutting, practice piercing. And it's just practice, practice, practice. So, but stay tuned for our online courses. They're going to be coming up and they're really cool. So we're working on them really well. It's going to be really something really a bit different to what's out there already. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. So excited? Stay tuned. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Silver Pearls is asking, is there such a thing as it's too hot outside to solder? My solder station is in my garage and it's been quite hot and nothing will solder.
No, I don't think that would make any difference at all. I don't think the heat would actually make any difference. Just trying to think what would be the reason why. Perhaps, I don't know, I can't see I can't really think of anything that would make it too hot to solder. Any ideas, Lou? No? No? Perhaps there's oxides on the surface, perhaps it's oxidizing, perhaps there's some salt in the air. Do you live near the sea? Something like that. So perhaps there's a degree of salt in the air that would perhaps stop the solder from flowing.
Have you tried soldering? Not in the garage.
Don't know.
And you'd know if it's something atmospheric, or would it be something atmospheric, or?
Don't know. No, I've never heard that before. I've never heard of it before. Never heard of it.
Try taking it somewhere else.
Yeah, bring your soldering station indoors, or in a quiet, cooler part of a garden perhaps, and try soldering. But I can't think of anything that would be the reason to stop solder from flowing if it's too hot. Because at the end of the day, the flames are pretty hot, aren't they?
Residues or
maybe something. Maybe something that would stop it. So no, unfortunately, I can't think of anything that would be the reason why. But I'll certainly think about it and give it some thought. Yeah. Okay, next question for you.
Okay, Neil would like to know, what should I look for in drawer plates? The prices vary so much, from around £5 up to 100 or so. Is there such a quality difference?
Yes, there can be. Oh, wrong one. There we go. There can be quite a bit of a difference. You can buy Italian ones that are pretty expensive. I think that depends on what shape you want the wire to be. Obviously, if you're going to be drawing, you can get draw plates that make stars, moons, heart shapes, court shaped wires, all this sort of thing. And I think those types of draw plates are going to be far more expensive than just your little bog standard round ones. I've got some draw plates. I think mine were about £15, £20. I got them from Betts Metal Sales and Walsh. They're okay, and I have no problems with them at all. So perhaps start with something like that first of all. I think they're not necessarily made in this country, they're made abroad, as the majority of these draw plates are. But I think pay about £20, £30 perhaps would be a nice amount of money. I think for that amount of money, you're going to get yourself a decent draw plate. Obviously, if you're going up to the most expensive types of draw plates, the types of the well-known manufacturers or names on them, you're going to be paying for the quality, perhaps for the accuracy, perhaps if each hole is going to be a lot more refined, a better quality finish. But you know, £20, £30. I wouldn't go for a £5 one. I think that is going to be a little bit not too sure on that. But spend 20, 30 quid, and I think you should have a decent draw plate for that. Next question, please.
Okay, Erica is asking, what is the difference between polishing with a handheld motor using polish and using a tumbler machine? Would you choose one or the other depending on what you have made?
I personally would always polish by hand. I find that you get a better finish by doing everything by hand. A tumbler is great. A tumbler has its place like a polishing motor, like a flex shaft, like a bench mounted polishing motor. Everything has its own place. And a bench mounted polishing motor will polish things quicker, but it won't necessarily get in the little grooves and the little places. That's where a little flex shaft like this would come in handy, or a barrel polisher. For me, I would do everything by hand. I would get something like a flex shaft or a Dremel and polish everything like that, because I feel I would get a better finish. I can see what I'm doing, but the advantage of having a barrel polisher is that you can finish off the piece to a certain degree of using your emery papers to about 600 grit or 1000 grit, something like that. Then you can put it in the barrel polisher. Then you can get on and do other things, and whilst it's tumbling around and polishing. But then I don't think that actually gives a super finish either. So if it was me, I'd have to take that out of the barrel polisher and do a nice finish, a nice professional polish with a rouge afterwards. Because don't forget, it's a burnishing action. As the barrel rotates, the little shot comes over and it hits the surface and it burnishes the surface. Sometimes the surface will be slightly undulated because of the action of the barrel is going round and the shot's hitting the metal all the time. It's going to burnish it, but it may be slightly dappled. So if it was me, I would always finish off by hand. Always. And you're going to get far more use out of a flex shaft or a Dremel than what you would do with a barrel polisher. But if you're just sort of doing it for, I don't know, for fun and that sort of thing, and you don't really need a high finish every time, a barrel polisher is really good. And then perhaps you can put some decoration, or as we said at the start of the Q&A, some satin finish over the top of it, and that would be absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I can just see on some of the chats here, people are saying it's perhaps sweaty fingerprints from the last question, maybe stopping the solder from flowing. With that humidity, maybe something there, maybe a little bit of dust, maybe some dirty flux as well. These are all things that you need to get off the piece and make sure it's absolutely perfect to do it. Yes. So yeah, Buddy and Buddy, anyone tried eggs to tarnish? What are your results? I haven't tried, but I still want to actually. You get sulfur from the eggs, put it in a bag, put a piece of silver, because the sulfur then will anyway, I'm getting out of sync. So Louise, next question please.
Okay, Alma is asking, how would you set 1.5mm rose cut diamonds, tube setting or flush setting?
Ooh. Depends upon your piece. The easiest thing to do is to tube set it. You can drill the tube, you can get a setting burr 1.5mm, because the setting burr is this sort of concave, pointed shape. I mean, it's going to center in the tube nicely. Solder your tube onto the piece. Really easy. Get the setting burr, go into the tube, push the diamond into it, burnish the outside, or get one of the bezel closing conical dies that goes over the tubing, tap the top, and it'll close the bezel around the around the stone. Nice and easy with no problem at all. Flush setting is a little bit more difficult to do. you have to be a lot more, I think, a lot more skilled to do flush setting than what you would need to do if it was tube setting. But if the piece calls for it, do a tube setting every single time. It's going to be a lot easier. And I think they look quite nice having diamonds in the little tubes as well. There we go. Next question then, please, Louise.
Okay, second-hand biker would like to know where to buy silver hinges.
Ooh, I don't know. You don't often buy, I don't think you can really buy silver. I've never seen anyone, not in this country, selling silver hinges actually. So you may find someone like Rio Grande Estella or Guess Wine or Otto Fry in the US may sell hinges, but I think there's so many different things that you can do with a hinge. The hinges may not need to be like a standard size, standard number of knuckles. So I don't know where you would buy them, but why not try making them with some tubing? It's very, very satisfying to make a hinge. But that's what I would do. I would make it because I can't really help you. I don't know who sells it, unfortunately. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Oh, is it possible to get a nice polished silver ring using only a Dremel? I'm new in the field and can't manage how to get the shiny finish I expect.
Yes, you can. You can get a really good finish, a nice professional finish with your Dremel or with a flex shaft, providing you follow the necessary steps. Again, if you want to check back through our 12-hour marathon that we did a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Is it 2 weeks ago now? Is it 2 weeks and a half ago? 2 weeks? Anyway, go back through, about 2 weeks ago. What was it a week ago? Check back because I went through about polishing. I got a bit of silver and I got some emery paper and I used the flex shaft to produce a nice finish. Yes, you can, as long as you use the proper techniques, the proper steps, removing the deep scratches over and over at 90 degrees, finer emery paper. Then use a pre-polish like a Tripoli, like this here. Here we go. Here, I just need to get this camera back a bit. I'm losing myself here. This is some Tripoli. You can use this, and then you can use some rouge. You need a hard mop if you're using some pre-polish, a hard calico mop, something like a little felt mop like this. This is a nice hard one. And then when you want to come and then do the final polishing, you use some rouge with a nice soft woolen mop. And yes, you can get a really good professional finish just from using that, but it does take practice. Check back again on YouTube through some of our films. We do some polishing ideas all about polishing. Yeah, that's what polishing ideas are all about. Next question then, please, Louise.
Okay, Elsie is asking, can we make our own gold solder?
Yes, you can. I don't know what the proportions are. But yes, you can. I'm not quite sure what you have to have. I know you have to have things like, obviously, like copper and some zinc, I think it is, to add to the metal, to add to pure gold. It is possible to do it. Again, it's likewise, it's possible to do it with silver as well. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but yes, you can. And again, I think I will have to look at that and perhaps do a film on making your own solder as well, because that would be really, really handy to do and handy to show as well, because not everybody can really sort of access the bullion dealers. If you want some solder now and you run out of hard or run out of medium solder, always nice to be able to make up your own, wouldn't it? So yeah, I've made a note. I'll make sure I do a film on that. Yes, please. Next, please.
Patricia is next. Using a barrel tumbler with mixed stainless steel shot. Despite it being stainless steel, it still gets rusted between uses. What am I doing wrong and how do I keep it clean?
Okay, you actually do need to have proper barrel soap in the barrel, because that will then protect the shot. I've got, let me just grab my barrel down there. This is a barrel that I've got down here. Let me move that camera out of the way. So I've got some stainless steel shot. You can buy some decent shot. Let me just move this camera up here, or should I do my overhead? Let me do my overhead. So this is a Lawtone barrel. I haven't used this barrel in months, okay? Fingers crossed, but I use proper barreling soap, not Dawn or anything like that. This is proper barreling soap. And if I can open this up, you can see it's a bit manky, But if I do this, you can see that my shot, I'm going to get my hand in, go on. My shot is still gorgeous, it's still shiny, there's no rust on it whatsoever. And perhaps I shouldn't really leave it in here for that length of time, but as you can see, proper barrel-in soap helps to keep the shot clean and also helps the lubrication as it goes over the metal as well. So don't skimp, don't save, don't use cheap washing up liquid or detergent or washing powder, anything like that. Get proper barrel-in soap because it will protect the shot when you're not using it. And perhaps what I should do is take that shot out, I should wash it, I should dry it, so then we will protect our shot. But that's been in there for months and months and months and it hasn't gone off. So proper barrel-in soap is your best bet. I think we've got time for one more question there, please, Louise.
Okay, Jodie wants to set a 5mm aquamarine in a 9-carat gold bezel. I've made the bezel a bit thicker. I've never hammered set before. Do you have any recommendations or tips for this?
Ooh, now aquamarine. What's aquamarine on the Mohs scale, Louise? Do we?
Is it about 6 or 7?
It is. It is quite a very fragile stone, and they are pretty expensive. So I wouldn't really try and hammer over onto the stone too much, especially if you're a beginner and you're just starting to do your bezel setting. If you have made the bezel quite thick, I shall draw this for you. What I would do is that camera there. So a cross section. Was it faceted? Can't remember if you said if it was faceted.
Doesn't say.
Okay, so we got our faceted stone here. This is sitting in a nice thick walled bezel. Okie dokie.
It's about 7.5 to an inch.
Oh, there we go. So it's quite strong then, really, isn't it? Quite strong. So if this is your cross section through your bezel, you've got a nice thick bezel like that. If you're trying to hammer this amount of metal over onto the stone.
Yes, faceted.
Okay, cool. Anyway, something like that. If this bezel now is too thick, what I would be inclined to do is to file and take off this edge here. So remove this edge. Then you're left with a nice little thin area here to put down over onto the stone. So you don't have to move this huge amount of metal. If you did try and push it down on here, there's going to be so much pressure going onto the girdle of the stone here, you're going to find you're going to crack it, because you're never going to be able to push this huge amount of metal, and I say huge amount of metal because it is thick bit of metal if it's a heavy bezel, you're never going to push that down onto the stone. You better bet, file it, remove all that, so all you've got is this little area here, then you can then burnish it with the burnisher at that point, and that is going to bend down onto the metal easier, and it still has that appearance. It still has that appearance of a thick bezel, because when you look down on top from this, there you go, from this angle here, you can still see the metal that will be burnished over the stone, and you're still going to see this huge amount of metal runs from here to here, because the bezel is still thick. You just helped yourself by just removing a little bit off that edge. Enables you to push the metal over a lot easier. Should we have one more question? Just one more question to finish.
Okay, shall we? There's a bit of a health and safety one, and I like the health and safety ones. Yeah, Barbie G, please discuss toxic fumes and proper ventilation. Because they are important, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. I think that you should never... Yes, health and safety. I think, again, this is something that we could really concentrate on. Again, perhaps do a film, because there's lots of things that we can consider that we can do on our bench. What you must never do is obviously perhaps stand. And the worst thing is if you have, I don't know where anything is in this place. Just to, thank you. Oh, I can't find anything. The worst thing to do is have solder paste. I find that solder paste produces the most fumes, the most toxic fumes, because of the flux that's involved with it. Don't sit or stand above what you're doing, because as soon as that the flame hits the solder paste, the fumes are released. So I would never stand above. Always make sure perhaps that you're in front of a window, the door is open. Perhaps make sure that you're in between where the door is open and the window's open. So there's always a through draft, and there's always a draft taking all the fumes away from where you're soldering. If you're using things like a borax or a solder stick or panel solder, I don't think there's going to be that many fumes that are going to be coming up from it. I can't say that about other types of flux, because I only ever use borax. I've been using borax now all my life. I've had no problems with it at all. I've noticed no side effects, no nasty fumes or anything like that coming from it. But solder paste, you do get some fumes, and it does smell, and I would never try and breathe that in or stand over it. In fact, I would never really use solder paste unless you're using it for very, very small jump rings. Never use sulfuric acid in your pickle. Always make sure that you use safety pickle. Make sure that when you have a piece of metal and you're putting it in your safety pickle, it isn't too hot. And especially, I got a little lid on top of mine here that keeps the fumes in. If you take that off and you get your bit of metal and you dunk it in your acid here, safety pickle, and it's too hot, you get a cloud of safety pickle coming up in the air. That can be bad for you. Some people will have a bit of extraction in front of their soldering area. Perhaps they will have an extractor fan or a vacuum cleaner on suck with a big hose, like a ventilation, 4-inch, 5-inch ventilation hose right behind their soldering area to extract all the fumes. That's another good idea. Polishing motors, if you've got a big bench-mounted polishing motor, extraction on that is very handy. If you don't, wear a mask. If you've got a polishing pendant motor or a flex shaft, always have a mask. But it's something that we can and what type of mask? Yeah, I think as long as it's dust, I think it's iffy. I don't think you're going to have something to do with fumes if you're using a what's this called? A flex shaft. It's going to be a dust, like a dust mask, and you can get some with little filters on either side here that will actually stop the fumes from going in. You don't necessarily need one that stops like airborne viruses, that sort of thing.
But I just think if you're worried, it's better to be overcautious, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely.
You get one set of lungs at the end of the day, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And you can get like the 3M masks. Anything that would cover your mouth and cover your nose would really help, to stop the dust and everything going into your nose and down your lungs. And also, again, if you are having your flex shaft on front of your bench here, don't look above it, because then it's going to be coming directly up in your face. Whenever I tend to polish, I always come back and I always have it over here. Come this camera here, will they show it? No, it won't. So I would always never have the direction of dust coming directly into my face. Have it to one side, so it's always going away from me. That's the best thing that I can quickly say now over the, yes, Louise, I can see you, I can see you. So it's very, very quick. That's what I would do, but I think it's something that we actually should look into, shouldn't we? And I think we should do that. That'd be really interesting.
Just identify the main hazards, I think, and
and what
talk
steps
about them. It's so important.
Place. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wouldn't have a clue if I was starting out. I would somebody's got to make people aware of these hazards, haven't they?
Yes, yes, and there can be a lot of hazards. N95 masks are pretty good. So okay, that's about it. I think our time is up. Our hour is up. We could talk for hours, couldn't we, Louise? Well, I could. Yes. The side effect of talking to yourself. Thank you, Mikhail. Yeah. Okay, so there's loads of questions coming in. So thank you everybody for all the questions today. Sorry we haven't got around to every single one, because it is very difficult over the short space of time. Thank you to everybody. The 180 viewers at the moment on there. Excellent. Thank you all very much for joining me this afternoon. Again, we're going to be doing this again next week. We're going to be looking at doing like a soldering masterclass, which is going to be like a 3-hour session. We're going to be doing the polishing. We're going to be doing piercing. So again, we've got some lots of ideas.
And Julia's going to get a drusy quartz video. Yay!
When I get that drusy quartz, I will certainly look into doing it for you, Julian. It'll go onto YouTube, and I will certainly get it sorted out. So it does. The hour seems to go by so quick these days, doesn't it? So we're going to be doing it again next week. So join us on the 17th of June again, 3 o'clock. No, it's not. 3:30 in the afternoon. And hopefully, I think everything was okay. I can see our connection is excellent at the moment. It's been pretty good for the majority of it, isn't it?
I think so.
I think so. Excellent. So thank you very much. Are the videos for the 12-hour session being broken out? Yes, they will be. I have been a little bit lapsed with my editing over the last few days, due to family. I had my mother died about a week and a half ago, and her funeral was yesterday. So I've been preparing that, but it's no excuse. It's no excuse, Andrew. Get on with your work. But I promise I'll be knuckling down to my editing. The 12-hour film will be broken down into the hour sessions that I'll put up on YouTube. And also on At The Bench, our online jewellery training website, as you can see down here, atthebench.com. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Look out for our online classes coming out over the next couple of months. We're going to be getting a little registration form to come up on some screen, on some social medias that you can register your interest in that. We're going to be doing something quite different with that. I'm not going to say what we're going to be doing in case anybody else tries to copy us in the meantime, so I'm keeping... So I'm keeping stum about that and swallow the key. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you for all your kind thoughts. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all for joining me today. Thank you everybody. Thank you. I'll stay on for another few minutes. It is nice of you. Thank you. Mummy dying is a great excuse. Yeah, but I'm back to normal now. Back to normal. And we're getting there, back to normal. I like to keep busy, like to keep active. We're going to do some lots. We've got some fantastic ideas, haven't we, Louise? We've got some brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
Brilliant ideas.
Yeah, no, we have got brilliant ideas. I just don't want you to...
I know, we got some brilliant ideas involving Louise and myself. We got some ideas on what we're going to be doing. It's going to be something completely different again. We need a spoiler alert. No, you can't have a spoiler because I talk too much and I will say too much.
You can't be trusted. You'll blab.
What's coming up?
It's too excited.
I do get excited. I get excited so easily these days. So I can't tell you what's coming up, but again, the easiest thing I can say, we got some master classes, the 3-hour soldering, polishing. That's something that everybody will know about. That's something. We got some things in the pipeline for the online classes. Again, something really, really quite unique with that. I'm not telling you what that is. You have to wait for those classes to go live, then you'll see. And also we got something else big planned as well.
Is it an emoji dance-off show? Oh, no, it's better than that.
Emoji dance-off. No. Okay, so thank you all very much for coming on. Really do appreciate everyone coming on today. Thank you all for your kind words. Really do appreciate it. And everybody who won prizes during our 12-hour live stream, I hope that the suppliers have all been in contact with you, and I hope you're having your items being sent to you. I'd love you to message us, get in contact with us, showing you and your particular product, whatever you've won at your bench and so forth. Everybody who won aprons, everybody who won t-shirts, if you were one of the ones who have won and who haven't actually ordered your t-shirt or your apron, I think there's only 2 of you. I'm not quite sure whether you've actually watching this today. You've got to go and do it by the end of tonight, otherwise you won't be getting it. And I'll be sending out all the t-shirts and aprons over the next week or so. So everybody, thank you all very much for joining me again. Thank you all, everybody, for your kind words. Once this one, thanks again. Yeah.
Until next time.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So again, thank you all for joining me. I will see you, and Louise will see you. We will both see you. I'll put on Louise can say goodbye to you.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
And we will see you all 3:30 next week, the 17th of June, on another question and answer. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.